did not like that at all.
I'm really sorry. I can't help myself.
All right.
Yeah, we're fine.
Do you need anything?
No, I'm good.
I'm here to provide you with the things
All
you
right,
need.
Grant. You want to give us a countdown, please?
Of course.
Thank you so much.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of Off the Clock, the soon-to-be number one podcast in the world. We are here today with Zach Hume, our high school and middle school pastor here at Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, how are we doing?
Oh, man. So good. So glad to be on the pod.
We're so glad to have you.
We've talked about having Zach on the podcast for so long.
I think since episode 1, right?
Yeah, this has been
a hot minute.
Long overdue. So, Zach, it's great to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Zach is one of the coolest guys and greatest people. So, yeah, Zach, if you don't care to, we'll ask the same question we did Spencer. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here?
Awesome. Well, like Ian said, my name is Zach. I'm the pastor of middle and high school here, and this is a dream come true. It's the one thing I've wanted to do all summer. The boys started a podcast, and I was like, I cannot wait. You better invite me. So thank y'all for letting me join you all.
Absolutely.
I pastor middle and high school students, as the job title would say, which means that somehow I think this actually falls in line with my job description. I don't understand that either.
Yep.
And why am I here? Largely because Greg was here and Spencer was here, and I just did not want to feel left out. So, and I like you guys. So
That's good. Glad that's the second,
actually, it was the third. It was Greg.
Oh, you're
then
right.
Spencer.
You
Sure,
Greg
sure.
first, then Spencer. Well, that's the same thing Spencer said, too. He was like, why am I here? I'm here because Greg was here. So,
Shout out to Greg.
Yeah, for real.
Greg,
Validating our podcast.
Yup.
I doubt Greg has listened to the episode that he was on, but Greg,
Or
if
any of
you're
the other
li-
episodes.
Greg, if you're listening right now, thanks, man. We appreciate
There
you.
you go. No, to be honest with you, the main reason I'm here is I listen to every episode that you guys put out, and I just have wanted to yell at you all in person so much for your opinions, and I'm so excited to be here with you.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you most disagree with that
before
we have said
Before we get in,
thus far?
off the top of your head,
I mean, the number one thing is Grant just straight up coming after me in the caffeinated episode, talking about how awful it is that people drink coffee, and then not just subtweeting me, but directly being like, at Zach Hume, you are a bad person. You drink too much coffee. It's like, Grant.
Yeah, I have no defense. It is what it is. I did that. I mean, it made for good entertainment, and I practice what I preach. I don't drink coffee, so
There you go. I was on a little trip away with my wife. It was like a last-minute vacation before school started, and I was listening to it in the other room, and she came in, and she's like, are you okay? I was like, Grant is coming after me on this podcast right now.
Shout out to Sarah.
Big shout out to Sarah.
well, here is your chance. You sent us a text message after this about your argument.
which
for
you were the
for
only one.
coffee.
You were the only one. Blair Benefield did too.
Yes.
He sent
Oh,
us a text about the coffee thing too.
Yes,
So
because
anyway,
Grant shouted him out too.
yeah, I did.
A lot of people felt attacked and insulted.
Yeah, caffeinated was the
Yeah,
takedown
Dylan did
episode.
too.
Yeah.
Dylan did too.
So, what is your counter argument
For coffee?
about why your reason for being pro coffee?
Yeah, sure.
Coffee addiction.
Okay. So actually, I did text the boys. I was like, all right, fellas, here's the deal. And I said, you know what? You actually do have a decent point about the addiction side of things. Like, there is an unhealthy reality caffeine is addictive. It's a drug, and therefore it can be a problem. Yeah, Grant, you're whatever.
Listen, you're mad at me, but you're agreeing with me.
No, I'm saying you had a good point there, and I told you like
Sure,
there have been times that I've like backed down from like I've been like I'm going to cut out some coffee, and that's a good thing. Probably should right now, to be honest with you guys. Take
Went
that
from
down.
10 cups to 6 cups. You know, all that good stuff. Sorry.
That's not the truth, though.
You were attacked from a distance on the last pod. Now you were in the crossfire. You are in the room getting shot at.
Man, I really figured I'd sit on like the edge, but really I just had the 3 of you guys surrounding me, staring and just throwing darts.
It's very intentional.
So I think you have a good point there, but I think the thing that I said that I thought that you could have mentioned was that coffee can be used as a tool. And the same way as like a phone can be a tool, a computer can be a tool, whatever, and that a tool is not good or bad, it's how you use it. So stay away
That's
from me
fair.
and my
Good word.
coffee, Grant.
Listen, You know what? Never mind. We're not going to dig into coffee. Continue.
That's it.
We
That's
have
all
our
I need.
opinions. It is what it is.
It's fair. That's fair. You know what, Grant? You're about to move into college tomorrow, right?
Yeah. So at the time of recording, I'm moving into college tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's check back in 3 weeks on your opinion of coffee.
You know what? I actually think it might not change that much. I might drink more coffee, but I don't think I'll like be an avid coffee drinker.
Well, hold on. A second ago, you said I practice what I preach. I don't drink coffee. And then you just said I might drink more coffee, which implies that you do occasionally drink coffee.
Oh, no.
So, okay. Well,
Check
listen.
back in 3 weeks, Grant.
Hold on. If you remember back to the episode that we talked about coffee, I did talk about the communal aspect of coffee. We did talk about that. So when I drink coffee, it is it is in that like context. But when I went to get coffee with Zach the other day, I drank water. So
You did.
it is what it is.
Here's what's going to happen. In 3 weeks, Grant's going to come back and he's going to say, I'm drinking coffee, but here's the thing, guys. I drink it in my class, so it's communal. There's people around me.
You know what? That might actually happen. I don't know.
When is your earliest class of the week?
So I have an 8 a.m.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you're gonna be drinking some coffee.
Wait.
Yes,
It's
sir.
an 8 a.m., but it's virtual. So that all the other ones are like, I think 10 after
No,
that.
you don't understand. That actually is worse because
Maybe.
at
That's
least
not
if your
true.
8 a.m. is across campus, you have to move
And get a
like
coffee,
jog over there and
yeah.
you wake up. When it's in your dorm room,
Oh, I
You
didn't
can wake
have,
up at
I didn't have a
nothing but
choice. I didn't have the choice to do it in
That's
person.
horrible.
So it is what it is. But we're rolling.
Yikes.
Do you have any other things that you're peeved about, Zach?
Aidan, the Popeyes chicken sandwich is not the best chicken sandwich.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
You know,
Even Popeyes knows it. Like Popeyes was aware of that because do you remember what happened when they put the chicken sandwich out?
What happened?
They ran out of it because they were like, "This isn't that great. There's not going to be that many people that want it. We're not going to make enough."
enough. No, they made so many, and everybody just loved them so much.
Which is why you couldn't find one for like 3 months.
Well, see,
You know what? I've never had any issue getting
okay.
a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Well, yes, but
facts.
is that Chick-fil-A sandwich impervious in quality 100% of the time?
no, but
No,
a
it's not.
greater percentage of the time than Popeyes.
All right, this is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Is that,
The Chick-fil-A
what is that word?
sandwich-
Hold on.
Listen
Pause.
here.
No. That word, impervious. Is that, first off, is that a word?
Yes.
No, it's a word.
Okay, so what does it mean?
It means like indestructible.
yeah, you can't mess with the quality
Is
of
that
the
a
sandwich.
proper...
I'll go with it.
Maybe I
fine.
didn't use it correctly.
Sure,
Anyway,
just go
all
with
right.
it.
So
It's fine.
the Chick-fil-A sandwich as a unit is iconic. It's
As a
very.
unit. The Chick-fil-A sandwich unit.
You got the metric system. We got the US, whatever the US system is, and then we have the Chick-fil-A unit.
Oh man. Aidan is setting up like a third grade math
I'm gonna
problem
make it.
right now.
I'm gonna make it. I'll have a table for this for you guys in the show notes.
That will be like the Instagram like photo. It's just
okay.
like a table of Chick-fil-A
The
sandwiches.
1 foot
Chick-fil-A
is 2.5 chicken sandwich units.
The Chick-fil-A sandwich has an entire sandwich, one unit of being, right? It's extremely iconic. But break it down break it down item by item. Buns, right? Pretty mid buns as far as buns go, you know? The chicken is really where the money lies in the Chick-fil-A sandwich. Now, I will tell you, the Popeye sandwich... The pickles are excellent quality. They're thick. They're spaced out evenly. The sauce they put on it, Chick-fil-A don't have no sauce on that. You got to put your own sauce. See, Popeyes is for the people because they put the sauce on and it's actually
No,
good.
because then you can apply however much sauce you do or do not want on
But
your
what
sandwich.
if you're eating it in the car?
Have you not figured out how to drive
That's
your
a
car
good-
and hold a sauce packet?
He
And the
tries-
sandwich?
Yeah.
I drive a stick shift.
Okay,
Listen,
that's
I
fair.
used to.
That's fair.
You hold the steering wheel with the hand that has the sauce packet in it. You just got to be really steady with it so you don't dump the sauce in your lap. But as long as you're careful, it totally works.
So my final argument is the chicken. And you heard me go off about this on the podcast.
I did.
It's huge. It's large. It's got some crunch to it.
And it's not as good as the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
Factual.
All right, it's settled. That's it.
you-
Zach shut him down entirely.
You lost as soon as you started talking about the buns. Like, neither, like, you don't eat the sandwich because of the bun. You eat it because of the chicken.
But the buns is what makes a sandwich a sandwich.
That's true. That's true.
But the buns
You
are
can't
bad.
argue with that.
Like I don't like buns of either sandwich. I just eat them because they come with the sandwich.
They do
Why
make
wouldn't you
chicken
just get
nuggets.
chicken
I know.
tenders?
But the sandwich is usually easier and it's cheaper too. I don't want to get like a 12-count nugget and pay $2 more. That's just dumb. Yeah.
You know, somebody did a comedian on YouTube did a video where they weighed the chicken nuggets and the chicken tenders and found like the value per dollar for how much ounces of chicken you get from the 8-count nugget, the 12-count nugget, and the 3-count strips and the 4-count strips.
This comedian
Wait, what has the most like bang
hilarious.
for your buck?
The most bang for your buck was the 4-count chicken strips. You
Really?
get more sandwich. Or sorry, not more sandwich. You get more chicken for the money.
Huh.
But the strips aren't as good as the nuggets.
Oh,
But you-
I don't know.
All right.
I like the shows.
Moving on.
They're good. They're just not as good as the
I think
nuggets are.
this episode we're just rehashing all of our old arguments. Really?
Guys, Aiden is going to have to edit like crazy on this episode.
No, he
It's
won't.
gonna be fine.
He
man.
won't. It'll be perfect.
Since
gonna
we
be
started
so good.
filming, we haven't edited nearly as much as we used
I'm
to.
going to
That's
highly
true.
recommend getting rid of at least 50% of that last conversation.
You know what? No.
We'll
I don't
see
know.
where
We'll
the
see.
wind
We'll see what
blows.
happens.
I don't have anything to come after Ian with right now, which is honestly shocking,
That's
but
very surprising. I was waiting. Like I'm just sitting here. I was like, oh, I guess I'm next.
In what world do people not come after you and come after me?
I don't know.
in the world where you directly call them out by name on a
Okay,
podcast.
yeah, you're right. that world, which we live in.
but still, I don't know. Well, if you think of something, we can always circle back around to it.
I feel so confident.
The,
it's
the
coming
episode
soon.
is young.
Probably it is.
It's a
very
young episode, so you might say some, I don't know, some
This
wackiness
is
that
true.
Zach that we all disagree with or something. I don't know.
Okay, y'all want to get into the actual topics that
Yeah,
we kind of had for
absolutely.
this episode? Sick. Okay, so since we were talking about the coffee and all that stuff, something that we had mentioned was fast food, and then that kind of led into fast-paced culture. So I'm trying to think what the best how to word this question.
I'll spin it.
Okay.
Okay,
Go.
so the question was like, is fast food okay? Is it like a good thing that it happens in society? And my thing was, it is a result of society being so fast paced. Like everything is instant. You got to be there. You got to be places immediately. Like schedules are packed. People are stressed. Like all that kind of thing. So off the bat with that, what's your kind of take on fast paced culture? Could delve into more of like the media side of things, or the like physical, like everybody's doing something side of things, whatever that is. But what's your opinion on it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it healthy? Is there a line that we have to draw? All that kind of stuff.
Where is that line?
Yeah, where's the line?
Man, a second ago I was yelling at Aiden about a chicken sandwich, and we just took it down to the
So,
deep end.
welcome to Off the Clock with the Interns. This is what we do as a podcast.
So fast culture.
Fast culture.
No, so I think it's a really interesting question. I think it's a good one, and I think it was the last episode that you guys were talking about this and mentioned wanting to talk to me about it. And like, I just want to start with, I do have a lot of opinions about this and a lot of thoughts on it, and I'm also really, really bad at practicing what I preach on it. So this is 100% not coming from a place of like, oh, I figured this out, and more of like, oh, I really am dealing with the ramifications in my life
Sure.
of these things, both fast food and fast culture, because your boy needs to run a little bit more and eat a few more salads, which is what it is at this point.
Just don't go to Subway.
So I think, honestly, when it comes to fast food, I mean, I think I kind of would take the same tack I did with the coffee piece of like, it has its place, I think. Mostly Chick-fil-A, God's chicken.
Yep.
Of a quick meal. Like, yeah, snag it real quick. It's fine. Like, is it nutritious? No. But it's good, and it's a good place. Like, I hang out with a lot of students. It's a great place to go and just grab food and hang out. So I think it has its place there. I do think, obviously, like if your entire diet consists of fast food, like you're not going to be healthy nutritionally. And also, like, I think there is an aspect, we've talked about it before, like food is supposed to be communal. And if every meal is quick, I think you're missing out on an opportunity to actually connect with people in your life. So there's that. When it comes to like the fast paced life, I mean, is it good? Is it bad? Honestly, it's probably bad. Like, I don't know that it's a good thing that we're always having to be busy and occupied, and that, we've got to-do lists a mile long, and I do think a lot of that comes from like, where do we as a society find our worth and our value? And for a lot of that, that's like, whether it's if you're a working person, like in your job and like being a good, for me, being a good pastor, which is honestly like a funny phrase. But like, if you're in school, like being a good student, or if you play sports, being a good athlete, that like so much of our value that we put on things is being good at what you do. And then a ton of emphasis on just like the action and the doing. And if you're, if you only play one sport, then you should be playing year round, or you should be playing more than one sport, or you should be doing your sport and the drama club and the whatever. And I just don't know that that's healthy.
So here's a question then, like, if it's not healthy, is it necessary? Like, are there instances in life where it is necessary to uphold that speed?
Dude, great question.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I think to an extent, like there is an element. So for me, like I am a husband, I'm a pastor, I'm a friend, I'm a son. Like there's all these things that are identity markers of me. And like there are things that I need to do. Like it's important for me to, make sure that I'm really caring for my wife well and doing my part to, spend time with her, but also like to help keep our house clean, because that matters. And it's also important for me to be good at my job and show up on time and do the things that are expected of me. And it's important for me to like make time for friends and call my parents and all that stuff. But I think there is an unhealthy side of it where we can become so infatuated with being, good at all of those things. And also priorities come into the play here. And like, obviously, even like biblically speaking, I could be incredible at my job, but if I am just slacking as a husband, that's an issue, because my first call is to love my wife well, So I think, is it necessary to be a part of like fast-paced life at times? I think so, but I think it kind of depends too on what you specifically are talking about there. Yeah. And if it's like, is it necessary to work hard? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it necessary to be so wrapped up in what I do and all these different things that like that's where I get my primary source of identity? No, I don't think you have to be that wrapped up in it, and I think it actually is good to start trying to separate out from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, I like that. So if you're trying to pursue a hyper efficiency in one area, it can make you inefficient in others.
I would say like off of like just listening to the first, opinions of that whole dialogue, somebody's argument could be, well, if I hadn't have had this hard work and this fast-paced life, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am.
Sure.
And like that's fair, and like we're not saying don't work hard, like Zach said, but there is a balance of like working hard and accomplishing the things that you
I think the lines
about.
are so blurred between fast pace and working hard at this point. Like, this is a question I've got too, is for people, because like for me, I have a hard time looking at the people around me, and like I have friends, and like when I was playing basketball, for example, the guy I trained with, dude was always going 100 miles per hour every second of every day, barely slept, was always on the grind. And like for me, I can't go at the same pace that he could go at, but I was trying to push myself to do that.
Sure.
And so for me, it's hard to watch people can do that and then figure out what the balance is for me, and then like accept that. So would you have any advice for like,
that's
because
huge.
everybody is different, not everybody can go at the same pace and the same level that people around them are going?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I mean, number one, I would say, everybody is different in that, and like that's true. Maybe you can't like replicate what he does, but like I look at the amount of time that you spend like working on music, and if I spent that much time trying to learn to play guitar, I would break my guitar. Like I also don't have a guitar to break, but like I think there is that element of like when you find that thing that you really love, like you're going to invest a lot of time in it. But I also think it's that person, I don't know him, but that person may be able to like crush it right now, but is he still going to be able to keep that pace 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Like part of it is you got to look down river and be like, what effect is this going to have on me if I run at this pace forever? And I think there's seasons of it. Like I was sitting with Rick, who's our lead pastor here at Fellowship, and my boss's 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 boss, or something like that, and just talking about like, Rick, I feel right now like I'm having to run at 1,000,000 miles an hour to really figure out how to do this job, because I just stepped into some new stuff. And he basically was like, yeah, you do. That is kind of what the season is. But 4 months from now, you should be in a different season. You should be at a different rhythm and pace of life. And so I think some of it's seasonal. Grant, Aidan, you guys are about to start college. It's going to be a whole new season, and there's going to be an element of like having to buckle down and figure out how to get your schoolwork done, and also like have a social life and figure out what like this new season looks like. But by the time you get sophomore, junior, senior year, you should look different than you did freshman year.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good word.
That's good. I mean, I was just thinking like off of that right there. I mean, I can think back to myself as a freshman in high school and like completely different person, right? Like,
Yeah.
and in a good way, I
Yeah.
would say. But like, yeah, I've grown so much, and like I mean, I recognize myself. Like, I still think I'm like the core of who I am is the same, but I've grown so much, like in my hobbies and my passions and my talents and like spiritually and like all those things. So I've changed like a lot in a good way, seasonally from all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the idea that we're gonna ever get it all the way figured out is probably not accurate. Like, I think it's kind of an unattainable thing, but yeah, honestly, like this is one of the areas in, like, to take it really spiritually, like this is one of the areas in my discipleship with Jesus that like is still needing some of the most work. And in terms of like, there's that story of Mary and Martha, and this idea of like Mary's like, Jesus, look at how much nope, scratch that, reverse it. Martha's like, Jesus, look at how good I am. Look at how much I'm doing so much for you. Won't you make Mary do this? And Jesus is like, no, she's sitting at my feet, and that's what she should be doing. And that is just, I'm so much more inclined to be like, look how good I am and how much stuff I'm doing. And so I think while there is the truth in like the seasons and all that stuff, like at the end of the day, I still really will struggle with going and doing too much and too fast and all that. So,
well, and I think too, like, even though some people might have a faster pace than others, God still created us to have at least some type of rest. Like, that's why the Sabbath existed. Like, that's why God rested on the seventh day, is to set that example, that humans are also supposed to have some form of rest. And sure, that form of rest might look different for different people too. Some people might find rest in making music, while other people might see that as a job. Like, I know my brother is kind of that way too. If I went and made music, it would feel like a job, but to him, like, that's what he does to relax. So,
Right.
But I think to have some form of rest in your life is so important.
Yeah.
Like, and we know that too. That's why we have the weekend in our, work schedule. But
so let me ask you guys a question. Talking about rest, like, what do you do for rest? Like, you personally?
So this is actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And it's just like, for me, because of how I am as a person, having a more regimented schedule and having everything kind of not necessarily planned out, but just having a routine I stick to is like one way that I've been finding is I can like build rest into like my life. So I think it's, I don't know, something that's weird is, as a Christian, if you're really spending time resting spiritually, because I think there's like physical rest and there's spiritual rest.
Yes.
yes, that's true.
And so it's like setting aside that time to like for spiritual rest and growth and like time with the Lord, that type of thing. There are times that you've got to say no. And I think learning to rest is also learning to say no.
Absolutely.
And that's something obviously I'm super hard because like I don't want to miss out on something, or I want to go hang out with my friends or whatever. And so like for me, it's like I need to be in bed by this time. And then like a couple nights a week, okay, these are my nights that sure I'll stay out later and hang out with friends. But like most of the time it's like be in bed by 10:30. Get up in the morning between 6:30 and 7:30 every morning.
Yes.
Like that type of thing. So I think for me, that's part of how I rest, is learning how to say no and how to make, like, prioritize things is how I'm learning to rest right now.
I will echo that a lot. And like, it's not always saying no to going out and doing stuff, but maybe it's like saying no to like projects. Like I tend to like overwhelm myself on projects a lot, whether it's like some of it could be like with this podcast or like mixing projects that I work on. I know that I had to take a big rest from Ian's new EP
Out now
called
on Spotify.
Time.
Shameless plug. Go listen.
Listen.
There was a point like a few months ago, as I was like mid, like almost to the final mixing stages of the project, that I was just like, I just could not hear it anymore, and I was just like, I need to like take a second.
I was the same way. I didn't listen to it for like a whole month.
Yeah, I just kind of just didn't listen to it for a while, and in that time, I just kind of like chilled, and like I still like did like other things and stuff, but like I was just like taking a break from that, and I kind of listened I listened to a lot like other music that I really loved and like older projects that I had done. And so like then when I came back and got back into mixing Ian's songs, I was just like, wow, these are awesome songs. I'm so glad that I'm doing this. So like having that rest, and I think having that rest like helped me like as a human to have that rest from that work. But it also, I think, helped the song because it gave me a fresh perspective. It kept me from rushing stuff.
I cannot believe I just said like so many times.
So
It's almost getting out of the mindset, at least for me, of instead of being like, what am I missing out on, no matter what it is in life, because I'm saying no, but it's like, what am I missing out on because I'm saying yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a word.
Good word. I think for me, like the best rest I find is when I like take time, like what y'all are saying, apart from all the stuff I have to do, and spend time with like the people I'm really close to. Like quality time for me is really important to like have that time with the people I really love. So my family and other people I'm close to, like my closest friends, just that really means a lot to me, and that's how I rest. And then I like can be extroverted sometimes, but I can also be introverted. So to have like recharge time too, and that's obviously spiritually too, but I'm talking more of like the physical side. That is where I find the most restive, when like I don't have to stick to the schedule. Because I know for you, like you work rest into your schedule, but for me, I hate like having a schedule a lot of the time. So if I can have some time away from a schedule and just like be free almost and do my own thing, like that's where I find a lot of rest and freedom.
Yeah,
so.
I like that too. Like having a day, I will sometimes like when I'm, people are asking me if I want to make plans for a week, I will be like, all right, I'm not going to make plans on this day because I just want to do whatever I want to do at the house. And I'll also touch on like spiritually, something I've like struggled with a lot in the past. And Zach and I had a conversation about this a while back, like at the beginning of the semester. But like really finding time and dedicating time to spending time in the Word is something I've like not done a lot in my life. And I've really started to like really like commit to that more like in recent times, like recent weeks especially. Like I was mixing one day like a few days ago, and I was just like and I was mixing for fellowship. I was mixing an encounter service, and I just like paused it and I was like, man, I'm gonna get in the Word right now. So like that, like getting into the Word and spending time, and I was just like, I just prayed for a while, and like I read out of some of the passages that Greg had taught that previous Sunday, and some stuff for Psalms that Ian had been challenging me to work on too. So that has also been like super big for me, finding rest there as well.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it was awesome. I think one of the everything you guys said I think is so cool, because it's like there's not one way to rest, but the theme that kind of was woven through all of what you guys said was like, whether it's it was intentionality, like Ian being intentional to have a schedule, or Grant being intentional to step out of his schedule, or Aidan being intentional to say no to a project, or just to hit pause on something and step out. I think we don't rest naturally. We have to be really intentional to do that. And I think that's kind of in a culture of fast pace, get this done, be about, whatever it is, like the way we go counterculture and push back is intentionally choosing like, no, I'll stop right now. Which really is what that, Grant, you mentioned Sabbath. Like, that's what Sabbath means.
Yeah. My mom reads a lot of John Mark Comer. So.
Gosh, what a guy.
John Mark Comer.
You're listening to so good. Shout out, John Mark. So good.
Oh, man.
So good.
Hey, quick story time. Do you remember when... I know you're going to remember this, Zach.
Oh, man.
Do you remember in, like, before the new building, like, back in the old middle school days... There was some like
full service,
some game that we were doing in full service, and people were supposed to like text you their answers to one of the questions on the screen. And so you had 2 volunteers for the game on stage, but you put your phone number like on the big screen.
Yeah, I do.
So like
this.
the whole room was texting you.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
That sounds like a disaster.
It was a bad time. It was a bad time.
You do similar stuff now, but you do it with not your phone number.
Yeah, Google Voice, guys. It's a great thing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think our other question that we had for you was about media and Christians. So as a Christian, where is the line that we draw in what we're consuming. Like when do you, like, you're watching something or you're listening to something, like, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna, like, where's the line? Because I feel like people have so many different opinions on it. Like, I think all of us have pretty similar thoughts on this, but like it just varies. So I was curious what your thoughts on that were, if you have any advice.
Yeah, great question. So I want to first of all, not to encroach on Life Reframed, but I want to reframe the question a little bit. Gosh, that's not funny unless you go to fellowship and know that we have a podcast called Life Reframed. It's fine, guys. I'm so sorry. But I think we often kind of ask questions of like, hey, where's the line? How do we do this? Whether it's media consumption or whatever it is, even like back to like, how much is it okay to be fast paced, and when do we have like, where's the line?
Right.
And I think more and more the Lord's been showing me like it's not a question of how much can I do or where's the line or how close to whatever can I get. It's like the question is fundamentally the reverse of that. It's like, how close can I get to God? How holy can I be? And not in like holier than that, but like in this idea of like, I want to look like Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I think the question really becomes like, and it's kind of a tough thing to ask, like, is this helping me be more like Jesus? Is kind of a tough question to ask when you like sit down just to like chill for a second. Now there is the element of like, sorry for the amount of times I said like, there is the element.
Dude, it's a problem with me too. I'm so sorry if you ever listen to the podcast and you're like, Grant says like all the time. It's a thing, man. We were just talking about this before the podcast. Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're great. I cut myself off. But I think, we are called to rest, and sometimes like this sitting down and whatever can be restful. And I think there is an element too that God is a creator of beauty, and that we find beauty in art. And so, television, film, music, it's art. And so there's beauty there, even things that aren't really, quote unquote Christian art. Still, if there's beauty, it points to the creator of beauty, who is God. And so there's that element. And so I'm not somebody that's like, oh, well, you should only listen to Christian music and you can only watch The Chosen, which, shout out The Chosen. If the creator of The Chosen's listening to this podcast.
Hey, come on the podcast.
No, but like also watch The Chosen. It's one of the greatest shows. But I'm not somebody that's like, you can only watch those things, because I think there is truth and beauty in things that aren't quote unquote Christian.
Sure.
As far as where's the line, I don't think there's like a hard and fast one. Scripture kind of talks about this idea of if your conscience condemns you, then it's sin for you.
Yeah.
And this idea, I think it's in Romans. Paul's talking about the idea. Shout out, Greg.
I remember Tim teaching about this.
Yeah, talking about the idea between like the strong and the weak, and like some people can eat food that's been sacrificed to idols with no issues, and some people can't, and their conscience condemns them. What he says is, there's freedom in Christ. We've been given the Holy Spirit, who guides and convicts us of sin and leads us into the ways of righteousness. And so if your conscience condemns you, even if it's something that quote unquote isn't sinful, it's like there's nothing that says we can't do this, it's not bad, but for whatever reason your conscience is like, hey, don't do that right now, going against that, because as followers of Jesus, our conscience is the Holy Spirit, is us ignoring something that God's prompting us to do. The flip side of that is if your conscience doesn't condemn you, then cool. And so I think that even can be seasonal. There have been times where I felt like I need to cut out some music that's not like directly worship music. And there are other seasons where I'm like, yeah, that's great and fine and not an issue at all. And so I think that really is what it comes down to, is like being sensitive to the prompts of the Holy Spirit of, as I'm watching this, as I'm listening to this, as whatever, like, am I feeling like, ooh, I should probably stop this? Then do it. Like, that's your conscience telling you, hey, this is not good for you right now. Yeah. And maybe that's a season. Maybe that's forever. I think there's obviously stuff that's like just unholy and not okay. And if you have questions about what that is, I don't know. Ask somebody.
Preferably not us.
You know what? Ask Grant specifically.
Okay, sure.
Yes, go talk to Grant.
I'll be honest, Grant, you do actually, I feel like you have a pretty good pulse on things like this. Like, I feel like you have a sensitivity to it. So you know what? Ask Grant.
Yes.
Great.
So I don't think there's like a hard and fast line. I think there's some stuff that just we like can recognize as, hey, that's just opposed to God.
Right.
But yeah, I think listen to your conscience, and if your conscience condemns you, then don't do it.
Cool.
So I didn't answer your question.
Okay. No, that does actually, because I was gonna say that's kind of what I've been leaning towards more and more, because I've been I've been thinking about it. It's like, dude, what's the line? I don't know. And there's not like a hard and fast line for really a lot of things. And it was more just like, yeah, if you feel your conscience or you feel like that weird feeling, if you're watching something, listening to something, or honestly, it's for anything in life. But those are specifically because it's media.
Yeah, people you're hanging out with or whatever it is.
Yeah. Ian would just be like... the line is sob rock. If you get sob rock, you can't listen to sob rock.
Oh, man. That's major throwback. Okay.
What a time.
Yeah. That kind of answers the two questions that I had. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else you want to?
Okay. Zach, we kind of started this podcast a little bit of like high schoolers, talking about high schoolers, to high schoolers. Like that demographic was a little bit of high schoolers, and it kind of became everything. But if you have advice for anybody going to school, specifically high schoolers or middle schoolers too, because you're the middle school pastor, but like going into the next semester, what's just one word of advice that you have for them? I think if we want to close out with this, maybe.
Yeah.
Deep thought.
The only thing permanent about you is Jesus. So make sure that you're focusing on the parts of your life that are eternal. Work hard, get good grades, as good grades as you can get. If your best work is a B or a C, then go get a B or a C. If your best work is an A, then go get an A. Like, do that. If you play sports, show up to practice. Be the first one there, be the last one gone. Like, work hard, do those things. But ultimately recognize that those things aren't the most true thing about you. And the most true thing about you is Jesus. And if you want to invest your time in things that actually matter, then make sure you're investing time with him. And if you're 16, get a job. Because throwback to last episode, having a job in high school matters. And it's good.
Yes, it does.
Get a job.
So get a job. Hunter Tisdale, get a job.
Get a freaking job. Quit living off your graduation money.
To quote him,
I said it.
I've never worked a day in my life.
That was,
I said it.
gosh, I love Hunter so much. I was at lunch today with Seth, who was like, "Get me on the podcast."
Lord.
Oh no!
Listen. Yes. We will have a discussion about this, but yes.
Oh man,
please.
I don't know.
The entertainment value on that episode would be so high.
Yeah, man.
But we were talking about last week's episode, and that was, I think, my favorite moment of the podcast so far was Hunter just being like, I've never worked a day in my life. Gosh, I was like, one, that's not true, and two, the most Hunter thing to say. It was awesome.
It's like not true, but like kind of is at the same time.
Well,
I mean,
so.
He hasn't worked a day in his life in a lot of days. I think that's...
What?
Yeah. He hasn't worked in a while.
Oh, okay.
I think is more of what he was probably trying to say. It's been a hot second.
In a lot of days.
He hasn't worked in a lot of days.
Awesome.
Oh man.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Is there anything at all you want to close us with? Any final thoughts? Whatever you want to say.
Anything you want to light me up about,
But wait, hey, real quick, Zach.
Yes.
Zach, you see that drink that you have to the right of you? Guess what that is?
It's water.
It's not coffee.
Hey, and you know what? I brought my cup in here. You know what's in that cup?
Water.
Listen, I drink water too on occasion. And you know what coffee is?
Not water?
It's just refiltered. It's refiltered water.
We will continue this debate another time. Question mark.
Listen, guys, I can't help but think that this particular episode is going to really hamper your quest to be the #1 podcast in the world. But thanks for having me on, boys. I love you guys.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
Love you, man.
It's been amazing.
Thank you, Zach.
It's been real.
Peace.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything for you, Ian.
We'll see y'all next episode.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Guys, thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. If you want to watch our last video or keep up with our latest podcast, click right up here. And if you want to subscribe to Off the Clock YouTube, click right down there. Hit the bell if you want to get any notifications, and we'll see you guys next time.